Beautiful voice.
Lord, I find you in the seeking. Lord, I find you in the doubt. And to know you is to love you, and to know so little else. I need you. Oh, how I need you. Oh, how I need you. Oh, how I need you. Lord, I find you in the seeking. Lord, I find you in the doubt. And to know you is to love you, and to know so little else. I need you. Oh, how I need you. Oh, how I need you. Oh, how I need you. Lord, I find you in the morning. Lord, I seek you every day. Let my life be for your glory, woven in your threads of grace. I need you. Oh, how I need you. Oh, how I need you. Oh, how I need you. Like glorious light, I will go where you shine. Break the dawn, crack the skies, make the way right before me. In your light, I will find all I need. All I need is you. Like glorious light, I will go where you shine. Break the dawn, crack the skies, make the way bright before me. In your light, I will find all I need. All I need is you. Oh, oh, how I need you. 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 Oh, how I need you.
She could be the next Taylor Swift. Who knows? Man, she can belt it out there. Good job, Miss Maggie. Thank you so much. Okay, so I want to give a proper intro to Mrs. Anita Fredericks. She's with Children's Relief International. And Anita grew up in South Africa. Her love for missions started when she, as a youngster, was tagging along with her grandparents, who were missionaries to different people's groups in South Africa. Stepping in their shoes, she participated in short-term missions that eventually brought her to the U.S. to work with Cambodian refugees. Here, she met her husband, Dave, a church planter in the inner city of Chicago. 3 kids and 3 church plants later, the Lord called to missions once again. She joined CRI, also known as Children's Relief International, in their mission to share the light of Christ in areas deep in darkness. Her master's in global leadership, pastoral experience, and training as a spiritual director gave her tools to develop conferences for the illiterate, poor, and traumatized that aimed to lead people to encounter with Jesus. Through soul care, she walks alongside their international leaders who are in the thick of the battle, to strengthen and encourage them as they serve God and their people in the midst of wars, deep poverty, and personal loss. At CRI, her pastor's heart and missionary calling met, and her grandparents are rejoicing in heaven. And I want you to welcome a good friend, and she is very genuine, very honest, her videos that come out of the places she visits, I've watched, and they are tear-jerking because of the women that she touches and the children that she touches. Personally, she touches them and works with them, and I'll let her go from there, but thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. It's so good to be with you. I mean, goodness, I'll drive up just for the food. You know how to throw a party here, I just want to say. Yeah, in the end, I'm just a mom and a wife and love Jesus with all my heart, and it's a privilege for me to be working with people in deep poverty. So tonight I wanted to share with you some of the stories that I've experienced while working in Africa and India and everywhere there's deep poverty. And some of you might have heard some of the stories already from last time. I can't remember what stories I told. I have to start to keep track. But it's just a wonderful time to be with you, celebrating motherhood and daughterhood. And truthfully, I'm both. I'm a daughter, and my mom is in heaven. She left to be with Jesus last year, so this is a tender Mother's Day for me. I'm sure that there are some of you experiencing that as well. I'm a mom of 3 adult children and 5 grandchildren, all 5 and under. So they keep me running. And to be honest, Mother's Day is one of those days that I hated because I always felt like I was never a good enough mom. And I don't know if any of you have struggled with that. My husband and I have taught our kids how to do blessings and for birthdays and special occasions, and we'd sit around the table and everybody had to say something nice about everybody else. But when it comes to Mother's Day, they had to think really hard to come up with something. Mom, in spite of the fact that you made me do chores when I didn't want to, and in spite of the fact that you forced me to do X, Y, and Z, I still love you. Happy Mother's Day. So they have matured and appreciate me more now than they did then. So that is something that I am appreciating about Mother's Day now. So I hope that you have a wonderful Mother's Day and can celebrate with your sons and daughters, and tonight especially with your daughters, in a way that you both will be blessed. And Tonight, I thought I would share a little bit some of my experience in these countries of deep poverty and what motherhood looked like. It's unfortunate but true that in areas that there are deep poverty, it's always connected to moms and daughters, that they are the ones who are carrying the brunt of deep poverty. In the places where we're working, it's often because the men have died in some kind of a civil war or have died because of HIV, but there's a very steep lack of manhood, and the guys who are and have survived all that have never had male role models, and so they don't know how to be good fathers to their children and often would just desert them. So today I wanted to share a little bit, some of the stories that I've encountered. I thought I did put it on. Did I not? Sorry. It's on. It's green. Okay. Should I go on? Okay. If I need to talk louder, just wave. So, so I work with Children's Relief International, and here's a very flashy, very old map to show you where Mozambique are, if any of your children want to know some geography. It's sort of in the middle of Mozambique, 1 hour inland from Beira, and it's known as the witchcraft capital of the world. When I first got there, I sort of had a lot of preconceived notions that, you hear the statistics and you think, okay, 1 in 5 children die of malaria or hunger or something. Maybe those moms don't feel it as deeply as we do. They must be used to death by now. And, I was so wrong. But I have a little video clip that I would like to play just to give you a context for where I work. I use this in support raising presentations, so at the end it's sort of got an invitation to support me. If you want to, you can, but this is not about that. This is about just showing you the kind of people that we work with, and most of the pictures there I took myself. So, enjoy.
Nkosi sikeleli Afrika malupakanisu dumorayo Israel mitanda zoyetu Nkosi sikelela tina lusaporayo.
Nkosi sikeleli Afrika. God bless Africa. To me, this song from the land of perpetual sunshine was just a beautiful benediction sung in 4-part harmony. Images of giraffes and zebras charging over vast savannas eclipsed the uneasy statistics of AIDS victims, orphan children, and starvation. Besides, I was in America trying to make ends meet. What more could I possibly do to help than telling my kids to eat their food because people in Africa were starving? Nkosi sikeleli Afrika. I have learned that this is the cry from the heart of a people living in the land where death casts its shadow. Real people just like you and me. Responding to the incessant promptings of God, I went to Mozambique to see for myself what this cry was all about. I saw that the 80% of people living on $2 or less per day was a widow bringing a handful of seeds to church to be prayed over before she planted them. It was her only food for the next year. The 3,000 children per day killed by malaria was little Maria with her sparkling chocolate eyes in kindergarten. She felt bad during school one day and died the next. The more than 11 million children orphaned by AIDS included 3-year-old Nando, who hangs around church in soiled clothes. Nobody takes care of him. Families in this church do not have enough to feed their own, but pass on whatever they can to this little abandoned orphan. And I wonder how those who create statistics know to include young Victoria, Elena, Kyra with the intelligent eyes, Rosa, Johanna, or Amelia with the 4 little kids in the more than 1.5 million who died of AIDS last year. I prayed, God bless Africa. Then the doors opened for me to work with Children's Relief International as ministry developer. And I realized that God is answering that prayer. We have been blessed to be a blessing, and we can make a difference. I have seen this in the happy faces of children who go to school where they get medical care and hear that Jesus loves them. It is in the eyes of the woman whose baby was healed after she burned the witch doctor charms and gave her life to Jesus. It is in the rhythmic dance of the women carrying food to their families and hope for tomorrow in their hearts. Nkosi Sikeleli Afrika. God is answering this cry through His people. And I would love for you to join me in partnering with God in this business of being a blessing to the people of Africa.
Kosi sikelela tina lusaporayo.
So that's where I work. And to start our evening off, I just wanted to read from Isaiah 49. It's just such a beautiful passage where God speaks to motherhood, actually. And He says, "Shout for joy, you heavens, rejoice, you earth, burst into song, you mountains, for the Lord comforts His people and will have compassion on His afflicted ones." But Zion said, "The Lord has forsaken me. The Lord has forgotten me." Can a mother forget the baby at her breast and have no compassion on the child that she has borne? Though she may forget, I will not forget you. See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are ever before me. I just love that God uses a mother to express how much He loves us, because all of us know that being loved or loving, that is just such a tender way for us to love. And even when we fail, God says, and even if your mother forgets you, I will never forget you. And that's really the foundation that all our loving is on, is that we love because He first loved us. And here in CRI, that is what happens, and I see that all the time, that it's not true that because they see so much death that a mom can forget her child. Never. She embraces that child. She mourns for that child. It is a very difficult thing if any of them lose a baby. So with that, I wanted to tell you a little bit about a story of our Tessa Grace Nutrition Center that we started when we first, arrived there. And the leader said that there are so many moms who cannot nurse their babies, and those babies just die. And we tried to start this nutrition center where we could get formula for them and help the babies to flourish in that situation. And the only ones who came in were the ones who were like destined to die because they are so hungry or have HIV or something horrible. And I knew that this existed, but I was more interested in working with the pastors, and my boss, the founder of CRI, said, "I really want you to go and see this nutrition center." And the first day that I got there, there was just this cement floor and about 80 women. That's one side of them, and then there's still a whole other part. They were just sitting on the floor with their little babies, hoping to be seen. And at that time, we didn't have a full-fledged program. It was really just if anybody thought to donate money for formula, that it was a line item on our website, and and we would have something. Sometimes we would have formula, sometimes we would not. And the day that I got there, we didn't have anything. But as I came in, the leader was busy with something, and I can't speak Portuguese or Sena. So what I did was I pulled out my camera, and you know, those women have never had a mirror in their house, so they don't know what they look like. And I took out the camera, and then I would take a picture, but they were all so stoic. There's not a smile. But then I learned if I turned the camera around, they would see themselves, and they would just keel over laughing because they've never seen themselves. So then I learned that if I show them the picture and I quickly turn it around, then I can take a second picture and they're actually smiling. And that's this woman. She just looks so beautiful, doesn't she? She just looks like she's radiant. And if you look closely, I don't know if you can see from there, but her breastbones are sticking out. She's actually very malnourished, to the point where she's not able to nurse her baby. And the little one that she has got this distended belly, it's got fungus all over his head, and yet they are there hoping that we will be able to help them. So I whiled the time and went from women to take pictures and show them what they looked like. And then I came to this little girl, and she was probably about 5 years old, and she was holding a little bundle. Now for you kids here, those little 4-year-old, 5-year-old girls would carry their babies on their back, the baby brother or sister on their back, and take care of them all day long while the mom is working. So I wonder if you have done that yet. But she was just sitting there, and there was not a smile that I could coax out of her. And eventually, I just said, well, can I see your little baby, the baby that you're holding? And she opened up this cloth that was covering him, and this is little baby brother Peregrine. And as she was opening it, he looked like a little bush baby. Big eyes, he was sobbing, but there was no sound that came out of his throat. And he was so dehydrated that there was no tears coming out of his eyes. And in that moment, I was just like, what is going on here? And I wanted to see where's the mom. And she was inside the clinic trying to get help. Now, her story is that she lives far away, about 25 kilometers. I think that's more than miles, right? And she came mostly on foot with her little girl, and she had twins, because her husband had HIV and he died. Then in Mozambique, the women are not allowed to have any property. So her husband's family came and kicked her and the kids out from the house, and she had 4 other kids at home. Kicked her and the kids out, and they had to go and live with the uncle, where they basically worked like slaves and stoked charcoal to make ends meet. And when she had the twins, what the moms do, because they love their baby so much and their children so much, is that they would not eat so that the rest of their kids would have something to eat, not knowing that if she doesn't eat, that she won't be able to nurse her babies. So what happened was that she came in the hopes that we would be able to give some help for her and rescue her baby. And that day was just hard for me because I had money in my pocket. But we didn't have a store that I could run to get formula. We had to get it in from Europe. And so there was nothing to give her. And she had this cloud of sadness over her heart broken, because she was in a position where she had to choose which one was going to live and which one is going to die. And you know, when I think about that, I think I don't have any mothering problems because those are life and death decisions. And this mom who loved each one of her children so much had to choose which one. So I got to pray for little baby Peregrine and just wrapped him up in my arms. I asked the Lord to heal him, but then I realized he's not sick. He's just hungry. And then the moms would give them rice water, basically rice that they swish around, and whatever the powdery stuff is, hopefully carries some nutrition, and they would give that to them, but they can't survive on that. And so, as I was standing there, I felt like the Lord was just speaking to my heart, and I made a commitment to the Lord that I was never going to go back where there was not going to be food for the babies. And I started raising funds, and I was back just shortly after that when I heard that Peregrine indeed went to be with the Lord. And I'm thanking the Lord because at that moment she had all kinds of amulets and stuff around them, and we were able to break that off and dedicate them to Jesus. And we know that he is in Jesus' arms right now, but his story has really catapulted me on the path that I am today. Because, oh my goodness, so many people's stories are just like that. And that's why I wanted to help. And it was a privilege to pray for. And that moment we started this Tessa Grace Nutrition Center and tried to get more people to help and get it as a consistent funding item on our website. And we started with about 45 children, and 12 of them died the first year. And every year we were able to add more and more, and then we had the clinic right next to it, and if the babies were sick, we could send them to the clinic to help. And I am thankful to say that over the time that we've been there now, 10 years, we have seen thousands of babies saved. And not only that, they're there for about 2 years, and during that time, the moms came in from a witchcraft background, and they're embraced by the locals who minister to them, and they're loved, and they are cared for, and they hear about the love of Jesus. And in that place, many of them give their lives to the Lord and then take it back to their families. And so it's really like a discipleship school for illiterate moms whose babies are in dire need, and along with the food, that's why we say in word and deed, because a lot